All right, we are sitting inside of the 87 Jimmy, getting ready to do some tuning and getting it set up. And I just want to have a quick little discussion about this Holley Terminator X ECU and getting them set up. Before we get started, it's really important to understand what sensors you have on your motor and also what fuel injectors you have. These things take calibration data that has to be very specific in order for the controller to accurately control the engine. So the awesome thing about aftermarket controllers is you can really use any sensor you want or any injector you want. That's the beauty about the aftermarket controller, is you can wire anything up you want, and then you can go in and you can change the calibrations for it and you can make it work. So for us, we just want to understand what's in our throttle body. It's not drive-by-wire, it's a cable. So we have a TPS and an IAC sensor. They both come out of late model GMs right before GM switched to the fly-by-wire. And another important thing to understand is what map sensor you have. We have a 1-bar map sensor that is the map sensor that comes with the LY5. I'm sorry. Where's this LC? 6 or 9 with the 6-liter Vortec motor. I actually think the controller right now is actually calibrated for a 2-bar map sensor, and I'll show that to you before we even get started going over things. Another thing that's important to understand is your fuel injectors. You need a part number for what's on your fuel injectors. The part numbers are always written right on the side of the body of the injector. And from that, with the part number, you can head to the internet and you can understand what the flow rate of the injectors are. Ours are 36 pound-hours. They come out of an 07 to 09 Suburban flex fuel. These fuel injectors, there's more data to them that you need to know. There is a voltage offset, which says that they flow more or less based off of how much voltage they get away from their target. There's also a pressure offset that says they flow more or less based off of fuel rail pressure changes, and an offset for pressure changes at the pintle, like when the intake manifold is in heavy vacuum at idle or deep decel versus when it's at atmospheric pressure at wide open throttle. And so these are extra calibrations, and there's also a minimum on time for the fuel injector to even start flowing anything, and that matters almost as much as the flow rate for idle characteristics. So there's a lot more data, and the higher end injectors always come with sheets for injector data, right? In fact, we could argue that that's what determines the better injectors from the lesser injectors, is the data they do or don't come with. But with this, and with this information, we have all that we need to know. Also, the mass airflow sensor, we use a 5-wire. We have a 5-wire mass airflow sensor here, so it has the mass airflow and the intake air temp sensor integrated into each other. The Holley controllers do not use a mass airflow sensor. They run in speed density, but because we have a 5-wire MAF, we also have the inlet air temp. Speed density very, very much needs to know what the temperature is of the incoming air temp. And I think that's pretty much everything we need. There's some other things that you need to know about setting up the controller when you go in to set it up, like how many teeth are on the crank and the cam, and your displacement, some other things, what cam you got. But these variables are very, very important to get calibrated and get it running right. And I want to show you a great case in point on that right now. With our map sensor, the Holley Terminator also has its own inboard map sensor. It's got a little blue hose running out of all of them that you can connect to a vacuum source on your own. I just wanted to use the GM map. You know, they can go either way. All right, so let's power up the controller. I've already kind of got it calibrated. I'll walk back through the calibration again in a minute. I just want to show you guys something on this 1-bar map sensor. A 1-bar map sensor, all map sensors run from 0 to 5V, right? The difference between 1, 2, and 3 bars is where they register up here at 5 volts. Okay, they all start at 0 kPa, at 0 or whatever, but then they'll go up to 5. Instead of going to a 1-bar, will go up to 105 kPa by 5 volts. A 2-bar will go up to 210 kPa by 5 volts. A 3-bar will go up to 315 kPa by 5 volts. And that's how that works. So you're dumping resolution to cover a broad spectrum, but ultimately what matters is when you step on the gas pedal with your foot on the floor and it goes to atmospheric pressure, does it say 105 or not? Because the different calibrations for a 2-bar and a 3-bar will change where you're actually at per voltage. And I believe right now we're set up to be a 2-bar in a 1-bar with a 1-bar map sensor. And I think that because when we go to our gauges, we'll go to monitor, and we'll go to, well, here it double taps, so we'll go to multi-gauges, then we'll go to sensors. And then if you look, map is showing 125 kPa. Whoops. How is that possible? When we crank it, when we start it, it'll dip down only to like 90 or to like 105. I don't think that's right. So let's walk back through setting it up with the handheld. Oh no. Hold on a second. I have to get that. Nah, I'll get it later. I'll get that later. It'll be fine. Okay. We'll go back to home. Put this up nice here so everybody can see it. And we'll go to Wizards. GCF Wizard. And now, select what type of injection you have. MPI is multi-port fuel injection. TBI is toilet bowl, throttle body fuel injection. And DI is direct injection. This is asking you where your fuel injectors are. We have one injector at the end of each runner outside of the intake valve. This is multi-port fuel injection. Select system type. GMLS, Universal, Ford Coyote, Ford Mod Motor, Gen 3 Hemi. We are obviously a GMLS. Number of cylinders, 8. It's the only option for an LS. Firing order, only gives us one option, good. Engine displacement, you can tell it how many cubic inches, you can tell it how many liters. Let's pick liters. Yo. It's a 6-liter engine. Target idle speed. 800. Yeah, let's say 850. Camshaft specs. So what this always tells you is if you don't know what the specs are, just go with number 1. We might come back here and revisit it later. We have a stage 2 cam. I might be in here, but I'm not sure. So I'll just go with 1 for now. Ignition type. This is where I was telling you guys a minute ago about you need to know how many teeth are on the cam and crank. This is a Gen 3 motor, so we have 24 teeth on the crank wheel. Fuel pressure, 60. We're running a GM filter regulator, so we cannot adjust the fuel pressure. It is automatically set at 58. It is always better to run the higher fuel pressure if you can. And that, by the way, that higher fuel pressure is a part of why we like to have all of our fuel lines made by Industrial Hose and Hydraulic. And we have very professional transportation lines made because fuel pressure is getting pretty high these days, guys. Okay. Terminator injectors. This has been a thing for me. So on here, you can select what injectors you have. You can select the Sniper, the Holley, Excel, OEM, or other. If I try to select OEM, I do not get the option for the injectors I have. I have 1259 4512. I have 4512. And you just, no matter where you look, you don't see 4512. So we go back and we look at Excel's. Excel has 30, 32, 44, 45, 48, and bigger. If we go to Holley, Holley has an option for 36-pound injectors, okay? So that's what I'll say, is we got Holley 36-pound because it's 36 pound-hours. Power adder, none, although this, you can tell it has power adders. Map sensor, internal 1 bar, Holley 1 bar, Holley 1 bar, GM, Chrysler. We get no option that matches what ours is. So I will take this GM 1 bar. Drive-by-wire, no, we're not drive-by-wire. Idle air control valve. Transmission control. Yes. Because we are a 4L80. Tire diameter. I think we decided we were 35 or 36. Rear end ratio. Front and back. And that's it. And now you tell it to start. And now it uploads the file. And that's it. Tells you to cycle the ignition. And it's done. And now you come back in. And when we go to monitor, and we look at the multi-gauge, and we look at the sensors, unfortunately our map is still at 125. We're here in Florida, we are at sea level, so our map sensor should read 105 kPa, but it should never be over 105 kPa. That means, even though it's a 1 bar map sensor, that means that my linear and offset are different. A linear usually means the range that it can handle. This 1 bar map sensor will cover 94 kPa. And the offset is how far we are from 0 when we start reading, okay? So at 94 kPa is as high as it can go, plus 10, so we'll hit like 105 total by 5 volts is the basic math, how that works. And this is not Holley's own linear and offset with the map. This is something I'm pointing out from HP tuners, and we will understand what the Holley is in a little bit here, because I'm not going to tune this way. I'm actually not really super happy with the way it runs. I'll start it up real quick. I just don't like what that map sensor's doing. I also don't like the idle air control position open at 40. I should open that up a little bit. That should be around 10 or something like that. All right. Okay. So from here, the Holley Terminator and the Holley Snipers all come with this beautiful little handheld controller. The handheld controller has a little SD card in it that has some calibration files preloaded for whatever you're going to do. And it's a small little touchscreen, and that's how you can negotiate it in this way. Once we're up and running, I guess to be fair and clear, there are other things that you can do to manipulate with this Terminator X handheld. These things would include, like, you can touch the screen, then you can come over here, you can go back, and you can go to tuning or advanced features. You can go into tuning, you can go into basic tuning, and you can tune, let's say you can tune your spark. And you see what it lets you play with right here? Spark table, ignition time and an idle, ignition time and a cruise, ignition time and wide open, boost retard, and cranking ignition time. And so if we want to adjust wide open throttle, there we go. We give it a nice little table, and everything is meant to be really easy to make changes to. You can save it, or you can cancel it, and you go back and you can change everything. And in this way, there's boost nitrous. Yeah, that's a bit much. I'm going to advanced fuel if you want. You can change your accelerator in rich. It lets you go in and change a lot of things about as good as you can in text. Okay, and that's what this little 3.5-inch screen is all about, because that's all it is it's real small. You see my hand, it's real tiny, and so that's what you get to work with. This screen comes with the Holley Terminators. It comes with the Holley Snipers, or you can get it with the Terminator, I guess, and you can get it with, and it comes with the Sniper. If you get the Holley Pro Dash, I'm pretty sure the Holley Pro Dash is going to plug in the place of this, and for better tuning capabilities, either with the Sniper or the Terminator X. This is a Terminator X, but with either one, we can go and we can get this cable, which I have right here. See, it says Holley right on it. Holley. This is a little prolific cable. Probably the equivalent of like a DB9 serial or something like that. I don't know. This is a special adapter cable that will plug into where the 3.5-inch screen plugs in, or I'm assuming where the Pro Dash will plug into. And then this will give you a USB that you can plug into your laptop, and then you can do some tuning with the laptop instead of the little blocky thing that we can do here. And that's what I mean to do now, because I'm having a hard time getting a good calibration with the map sensor, and I don't want to retreat and plug in a vacuum hose to the controller. I would much rather get my calibration right. So I'll make another video about using the laptop to tune the Holley Terminator and getting the 6-liter up and going. For now, that's pretty much what it is, setting up the Terminator X ECU. It's not bad at all. It's real basic and simple, and that's it. Just getting it calibrated to perfection is a little bit of a thing. I'll make another video on that in just a little bit here. Second Tier Performance.